the day of reconciliation. That's what we in South Africa have come to know the 16th of December to become. And this has a very loaded political history, a very loaded spatial history amongst many other things. And this morning, I woke up drawing creative parallels, I guess. That's one of my favorite things to do. Like my brain just often creates these different parallels with concepts or things or days or even songs. And in this particular case, I woke up thinking a lot about like what reconciliation means to me as a jazz enthusiast, as a spatial practitioner, but more primarily as just a human being in this world, right? A black person in this world. And in the case of jazz and South African jazz, one of the things I've observed, and I'll add two clips to kind of explain what I mean here, is one, young jazz musicians are really reconciling with the idea of jazz and what that means. And I think this is not unique to my generation of younger musicians. Every jazz musician who's been young at some point has been grappling and reconciling with the idea of what this means. I mean, you've got musicians currently in the more mature and older years still grappling with this idea. And I've got some recommended readings in the description that kind of question, interrogate, and expound on what jazz means, the term, but also the ways in which we understand jazz to be and how it's formed over the years, whether you're looking at it from a Black American lens or even from or African American, I don't know which term is PC, but or whether you're looking at it from the South in terms of where we are in South Africa and what that means. But younger jazz musicians are grappling with this, and I was having a conversation with phenomenal trumpeter Lebohang Komane, and he was just kind of taking me through music school and having to reconcile with like curriculum and what they were taught jazz to be, the standards that they were playing, and just the like this interest in like the approach. And I resonate with this a lot because when I studied architecture, I also had the same frustrations about like the content I'm learning is like, how does it relate to me? You know, how do why is the foreground of curricula a European lens of the sting in the case of architecture? And I think in the case of music as well, this is often the case. It's starting to change, but it's often the case. And there's this wonderful recording I have of Lebu kind of like breaking down the different schools of thoughts that he's been exposed to through some of his peers, and some of the ways he and his peers have been reconciling this idea of jazz and what it means to be a young jazz musician player or have interest in making jazz music in this world as a South African, which is also not a monolithic experience because we are a very diverse country, and so that comes through in some of the music that the greats have made before them and some of the music that they are continuing to make.
But also, I wanted it to be like young cats, like more young cats
sure.
involved. But there's a lot of stigma. Well, for us, we're into the jazz thing, but we're into exploring jazz in a different way to what we've been taught.
What do you mean?
Like when I went to UCC, I didn't like jazz standards, like your normal jazz standards that are the things that give you the tools in order to improvise. You know, I didn't understand why we were doing this at a South African college.
Sure.
You know, and also maybe that's also why the UKZN cats figure out music so quickly, is because they're so tapped into whatever it is whatever it is that we're doing.
Sure.
So for us it's different. Like you yearn for this thing. Like South African jazz, and everyone was like, yo, no, the jazz stuff, everyone needs to learn the standards in order to play,
Who's everyone?
Apart from who's everyone, dog. That stuff has already been checked out. Why isn't that big Mselebu and try to understand? We understand where he came from, and he's already adapted the jazz standards. He's already adapted everything into his music. Right? So why aren't you studying with a person like Mselebu? Why isn't that part of the syllabus?
Sure.
Not just Big Mselebu, Abdullah Ibrahim, Zimnawana, who else? Rahabi, Mulelekwa. There's so many institutions of learning, bro, that we could be studying in South Africa.
Second clip I'm gonna include as one of an ongoing rehearsal. Ongoing rehearsal is a space created. It's a space created by Nduduzo Makhathini, Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini, who's an improviser and scholar, and this particular one was with Ndabo and the what is it again? Is it the Soweto chorus? Soweto Central Chorus, with the Soweto Central Chorus. And one of the clips, and to be honest, I was going through, so what I was partly what I was doing this morning was sorting out like some footage and archive that I've shot, and I realized I might have lost the first ongoing rehearsal that I shot, but I know a close friend of mine also has that footage, so I must just check with them if they still have it on that USB. So today I was kind of like going through my drives and sorting them out, and in sorting them out I went back to the ongoing rehearsal that Nduduzo Makhathini did with Ndabo Zulu and the Soweto Central Chorus, and there's this one song, Mabaoyeke Umhlaba Wethu. The rendition and arrangement of that in that particular setting was just so like, I don't even have the English words to describe it. I'll play it next, and that for me echoes another thing I'm reconciling with, and Black people are reconciling with across the globe. That's the notion of land, that's the notion of belonging, and what that means to us personally, culturally, politically, historically, but even in terms of our futures in this world. And so for me, those two things, by the way, this video is super unplanned. I was like, let me just start and verbalize my thoughts. But I really am like fascinated by this idea of reconciliation as it pertains to ourselves. So what are some of the things that we are reconciling within ourselves. And I'm using kind of like a musical lens to understand this and to explore this. And I think a lot of music just now in general, some of the most powerful songs that I know are songs that get me introspective, that get me interrogating and trying to reconcile different parts of myself, thoughts and feelings. And so whatever it is that you are trying to reconcile with, I hope this video is just a creative nudge to kind of like not only think about it, but like allow yourself to experience it. And there's going to be more content like this coming from me. And in the next few days and months, I haven't written in a while, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get the energy and inspiration to write something about this idea of reconciling things. But until then, like I said, I've got recommended readings in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Some are going to be readings, some are going to be music that you can listen to, that all encapsulates creatively this idea of reconciliation, whether it's from a political lens, a personal lens, a historical lens, or a cultural lens. Hope you enjoy.